What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you could have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Let me entertain you. Make your next thing a big one. Today on the program, well, speaking of entertainers, I have Brian Douglas, the BCD Music Project. Who's that? What? Now, if you don't know by now, you're going to get to know in the next few minutes, so stick around. This week's shows, I have one public show this week as we break out of coronavirus quarantine, and that's over at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas on Friday night. The place to be on a Friday night is at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. Conway, Arkansas? Yeah, you heard me. Get to the Rab. They got a full bar, kitchens open, pool tables. They got a pool tournament on Friday night. So if you want to try to make some money, try your hand playing pool, make some money at the Rab in the pool tournament. They got 10, count them, 10 diamond style professional pool tables. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but they seem really, really nice. And the kids all love them. I say the kids, they're all my age. You'll figure out which age. Hey, they're from 21 to 121 at the Rab. And while you're waiting to sing on stage with me, you can have a whole lot of fun with your friends at the Rab. Hey, it's a video dance party karaoke jam. Yeah, I said karaoke. You're the stars of the show. It's the Rab, Friday night, the place I always enjoy being on a Friday night. And then on Saturday, I have a wedding. You're not invited. I mean, unless you're invited. But you're not invited unless you're invited. The only reason I mention it is because I'm so excited. Weddings are coming back. I've been booking weddings left and right. Exciting. Very exciting. I'm so happy to be a part of the big day. Is that cheesy? It's your big day. I don't care if it's cheesy. I enjoy being at weddings. Now, next week, I have 2 public shows. Count them, 2 public shows. I will be at the Old Post Barbecue. Yeah, I'm back at the Old Post Barbecue in Russellville, Arkansas, from 6 until 9 in the p.m. next week. That's the 15th, April 15th, starting back at the Old Post. Video dance party, karaoke jam. They got great barbecue. They got, frosted beverages, adult drinks. I do keep it kid-friendly. It's family-friendly, okay? And keep it, GPG with the background music and what have you. And the people, really, you just can't sing anything you want. You can sing the good stuff. There's a lot of good stuff out there. You don't have to sing all that R-rated nonsense. It's good for your soul. Come on out next week. That's the 15th, April 15th, over at the Old Post Barbecue in Russellville, Arkansas. Good times, good people, good food, good drinks, yeah, and good singing with you. So Thursday night and Friday night, man, my weekend's going to be filled right up. Your weekend's going to be filled right up with karaoke with yours truly, having some fun. So this week, join me at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas, 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the a.m. All right, that's enough. That's enough of this intro. Let's get into it with Brian Douglas, the BCD Music Project. I got him on Skype, so if you're listening to the audio version of this, I encourage you to check out the video version, youtube.com/user/KeysDan. All right, Skyping Brian Douglas now. Brian Douglas, please.
It is I, sir. How are you?
Oh, it's fantastic. It's good to be alive. How is your day, man? Yeah. How's that tooth doing? I know the last time we chatted, you were going through some pain, some misery.
It's a lot better. The tooth's gone, and I just got to get a replacement. But it's all good, man. I feel way better.
I know when I was growing up poor in the streets of Miami, the dental. Let's see, I guess we didn't have a good insurance, so the dentist, the only choice was to yank that tooth. And my dad, my stepdad, he even resorted to putting a string around my tooth one time and tied it to a doorknob. I think he thought it was funny, but he did it. And somehow, I guess my tooth came out, and I put it under my pillow. Did I get a quarter the next day? No, I did not. We were poor. I told you, we're poor. But I'm chit-chatting with Brian Douglas, man. The BCD Music Project. It's Keys Dan, the What Makes You Famous podcast. How's your? Well, tell me about you. Tell the people who you are.
Well, at this point, boy, life takes so many transformations. But you finally get to one point before you move on to the next. But I guess, I'm just kind of a laid back person who really loves to create and put together music and play live. I've got a great wife. And, we hang out together and, life's just good here in Port Townsend, Washington.
Well, it sounds like you're living the dream, man. See, that's what the pursuit of happiness is to find that special someone that you can spend this life with. Whether you're sharing misery or you're sharing happiness, you're sharing it together, sharing the night together and the days too, for that matter. And I kid, but man, I'm listening to your music and it's so jazzy, man. I've been, like a mobile DJ since '86 officially, and I remember doing weddings, and I'm still doing weddings. And I know for the cocktail hour, they always say, "Give me something jazzy, give me something I can kind of, nothing too crazy for them to dance to, but something that I can listen to while I'm having my drinky drinks and talking to my people, and maybe having an hors d'oeuvre or two." And that's what you play, man. Has that always been the case? And have you always been in the North, the Great Northwest?
Well, I haven't always been in the Great Northwest, and no, it wasn't always the case. I've played, well, you know how it is. When you start out, you play rock music and you play blues. I've played funk and big band. It goes on, and I just got to a point, because I'm a little older now. I'm close to 60. So
52.
You just
happy to be here.
Stages. What's that? I'm sorry.
52. Happy to be here.
Yeah, right. Well, you know how it is. So you go through the stages, and so, like, I was even in a metal band for a while, and I'd never do that again. I lost way too much hearing. I did that because I didn't have a project at the time, and it was complex music, and I was invited, so I went ahead and did it. But never again. I like metal. Don't get me wrong. I'm not down on metal, but it's not for me anymore, especially. And I like playing that kind of music. What you just described, the kind of music that I play now, I like playing that kind of music because that's just kind of like where I'm at in life. It takes me to my little zone, and I just get to play, and nothing else matters.
Well, I could tell, Brian Douglas, listening to track after track after track, you're in your element. This is music for you to groove by, to chill by, to just make your mood that much better. If you're having a bad day, listen to some of that BCD music, man. It's going to make your day that much better. It's going to put a smile on your face. It's going to make you feel the groove. And if that's where you're at right now, that's a great place to be. I know that I've been through the gambit myself, man. I've played, whenever I do parties, it's not about me. If I'm doing a party for somebody, it's going to be the kind of music they want to hear, whether it be rock or funk or disco or whatever the genre it might be. It could be Whoop 'em Gangnam Style all night long. If that's what they want, that's what they're going to get. But when they get BCD, man, they get a good musician. But you say you're not originally from the Great Northwest. My brother's up there in Walla Walla, Washington. That's where he ended up. We both started in Miami, Florida. I made it as far as Arkansas, and he went all the way to Walla Walla, Washington. So he's up in your neck of the woods, if you will. But where did you start off, and what were you doing as a kid?
Well, I started out in San Luis Obispo, California. I was born and raised there, and it was a great place to live. I imagine it still is. I went back a little, I don't know, it's been a few years now, but it still kind of has a little bit of a small town charm to it. You know, they got California Polytechnic there. And so you got all these people that converged on it. They lived there, all the, you know, college students, which was fun. I mean, they're fun to, you know, party with when you're younger. But anyway, what happened was
Man,
because
wait,
there
I'm
were
looking at your
so
face. I'm
many
looking
people.
at your face and I'm seeing you think about memories past of your reckless youth. I know that face. I've seen that face in the mirror on my my mug. And yeah, you're thinking about, oh yeah, when I was in college, when I was a kid in school, all the trouble I used to get into, or you know, on purpose sometimes. Tell me some of those stories, man. What were you just thinking about?
Oh, well, you know, really what I was kind of thinking about was the beach.
Yeah.
The beach was so great. You know, because I was from San Luis Obispo, so Avila Beach was about, you know, 20 minutes away. And so you just had a wide variety of people
Yeah.
that would go to the beach. And it was always fun. And it smelled like coconut oil and sun and sand. And it was just great. That's what I was thinking about.
Well, what crowd were you in, Brian Douglas, when you were on the beach? Were you one of the stoners, one of the surfers, one of the bunnies, the muscle heads, the guys that were, you know, what was your crowd? What was your groove when you were at the beach?
Well, I was a musician, you know,
Okay.
so I fit in with the stoners and I fit in with the surfers. I had a lot of friends, you know, I didn't really exclude anybody. Um, because I just really enjoyed people, and there was all sorts of them there. So, um, you know, I guess I hung out with musicians. That's what I still am today. You know, all
Yeah.
my friends really, or not all of them, but most of them are all musicians. The one thing that I've noticed during this pandemic
Yeah.
is I never went out before unless I was playing, and so it got kind of lonely not being able to go play with other people, but I've got it all worked out now where I do everything all on my own. So everything that I play on my album and what's on my website and everywhere is I can replicate all that live. So that's what I've been working on is to work on all this stuff. And hopefully someday, well, musicians will be able to come out and come play together again.
Well, that's where it's at right now, man. Is it, you know, now that the record industry is dying or dead, people can't sell records. The only way they're going to make some money is playing live. Did you always have that guitar in your hands? Did you play that guitar on the beach when you were a kid? Or what was the first instrument you picked up and started playing and found that you had an aptitude for?
Well, it's funny because like when I remember when I was 2, it's one of my first memories around two somewhere. I saw the Ed Sullivan show with the Beatles, and I remember it was like, oh, that's what I'm going to do. So that's where I got the first idea of it. And then I started picking up an acoustic guitar, goofing around, you know, when I was in 3rd grade. And it kind of started from there. And I've been doing it pretty much for forever.
Well, even in '64 or '65, when were the Beatles really big on Sullivan? Was it around that time? You were still a wee little tot. You remember that?
Yeah, it was earlier than that. I think it was around 62, 60, no, 63, 64, yeah.
And you
Yeah, I
were
do.
still
That
you
was
were a
like one of my
baby.
very first memories. And it was bitching, man. It was so cool, you know. And it's like, wow, that's what I'm going to do.
Heck yeah! You could even hear the music if you watch some of those videos. You know, and all I have is the videos to keep it alive. And you hear the screaming fans. Was that what gave you the energy? The idea that, man, whatever they're doing to make those people scream, I want to be a part of that. Was that what got you into it, or was it the music itself, or was it a little both?
Well, no, not really the accolades. It was the music. It was I don't know, man. There's just something about it that makes me really happy. That's why I play the music now that I do, because it just makes me happy, and you know, the rest of the world can go away. I'm just kind of taking a vacation from from that, and I'm just kind of concentrating on playing and making things happen.
Well, since this is primarily a learning podcast, I'm learning from you, Brian Douglas, the BCD Music Project. Were you classically trained, or was this something you could play by ear? You had an aptitude straight away. As soon as you picked up a guitar, I knew what to do. I heard something on the radio. I knew how to play it. That's how my cousin does it. My cousin Timmy, he hears something on the radio, picks up a guitar, he's playing it. Now, other people that I know can read music. Whatever they read, they can play it on their guitar or the piano or whatever. What was your process? How did you start?
Well, who's that? Your cousin that did that?
Man, my cousin can play by ear. Cousin Timmy, post-rockalypse. He's been on the podcast before, too. Man, just pick up a guitar. Hear something on the radio and just work it out. Give him a couple minutes. Yeah, there you go. Bam, I'm playing, Bad Company or Deep Purple. I guess the only thing I know how to play is Deep Purple,
Deep Purple's great. Well, that's a real talent, to be able to do that. That's I learned by ear a long time ago. I guess when I was like 15, my mom said, "Go get a job and buy a guitar and an amplifier and take lessons," because I was always playing air guitar. And I said, "Oh, okay." So I did, and then I took guitar lessons. And then I just kind of learned, on my own and through different, people, because there's always people that are teachers, they teach you throughout your life. And I was real fortunate to just hang with those kind of people, and I just learned. And then all the different styles that I've learned, I just kind of put them in a toolbox. And then jazz came along. I wanted to learn how to play it as correctly as possible, and learning all the theory and all that stuff. And I just wanted to learn that so I could add that to the toolbox too. I like playing standard jazz, but I like playing more kind of weird fusion-y kind of stuff.
Oh.
Where you mix a bunch of styles together. That's kind of like what I'm playing now really is what that is. So that's like all the styles that I've learned: reggae, rock, some country, classical, jazz, all that stuff. You just kind of mix it up, and hopefully you get something good that comes out of it. But I think, when I was playing big band, that's when you have to be able to read for your life. And I didn't start reading until about 10 years ago.
Ooh.
For that matter, I didn't know anything about music theory, but I studied college classes and that kind of stuff, and learned how to do it.
So what you're telling me, Brian Douglas, it's never too late. You can wait till you're 50 years old and actually start really concentrating on music. Because I'm thinking, you're a kid, growing up in school, maybe in the 60s, you're getting some kind of influence. Maybe you're hearing the Beach Boys, or I don't know. Let me not put too many influences in your head. Who were you air guitaring to before your mother said, "Get out of my face, go get a job and go get a guitar and play for real"? Who were you air guitaring to back in the 60s?
Uriah Heep. Remember those guys?
Uriah Heep, yeah.
You remember them? And Deep Purple and Black Sabbath and CCR and the Beatles. I was kind of a rocker, when I was a kid.
Yeah. And did that take you anywhere? You said you got into big band. Was that back then, or was that simply 10 years ago? Did you you said you got into heavy metal bands. When did that start happening? When did you feel that you had enough experience under your belt that you can get out, hey, you know what? I'm going to take this out into the world. And what were your first gigs, and when was that? What years?
Oh, I was playing live just right in high school.
What years was that?
I graduated in 1980. So okay. I guess I started playing out in 9th grade.
Yeah.
So, and then the big band thing, that just happened, about, 10 years ago.
Wow.
And it was kind of up here up in Port Angeles, which is It's about 45 miles from here.
Mm-hmm.
They have a college up there, and it's a really nice college. And they have live big band music. So they have a full-on big band, and I took that class for about 2.5 years playing with them. And then I was in this other band called the Olympic Express. Started out as a full big band, and players kind of dwindled out. And then we started doing like these 6-horn charts and just doubled up on some of the horns. And those charts were really cool because that involved Tower of Power, James Brown, the Beatles. They have like these big band charts for pretty much everything. And so that was really fun, especially when they started getting into the funk. The funk was so much fun to play on guitar. And I did some vocals with those guys too. We did some blues tunes. I like singing blues. And I tell you what, man, there's playing blues, and then there's playing blues with a band with a full horn section behind you. Now that's horsepower. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, like Chicago, that guy, feeling like Earth, Wind, and Fire, or Tower of Power. Those guys, man. How many people did you have in your big band at its biggest? And I know it's got to be tough to get a lot of guys together. How many people were you trying to get together on the weekends or whatever gigs that you can get a hold of?
I think we had 17 piece. Maybe 18 sometimes, but usually 17 pieces full size. And then we ended up getting down to 13 to 14, because we just didn't have enough trombones.
Yeah.
We had pretty much everything else. We're just minus a couple of trombones. But then we started playing like this. So you have a big band chart. That's when, all the horns are playing their parts, and they all have like their notes, and we'll create chords and da-da-da-da-da. And then when you start playing the 6-horn charts, there's too many horns for the amount of charts that you have. So then you can double up horns on those charts. So it gives it a really fat sound. And yeah, we played Chicago stuff. Chicago is really fun to play. It was great because they used to let me play 25 or 64. And as a guitar player, with all those horns, that was just too much fun.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't even know what a chart is. You keep saying chart. What is a chart that you put horns into?
Oh, it's just written music.
Oh, okay.
So like, when you have like a standard jazz chart, right? You just got a lead sheet, and everybody has it. The horn sections, they have their own key, because they have different, those standard charts in the books that you get. But a full size chart, each member in the band. So you have 17 piece band. You have the trumpet section, sax section, bone section. So all those people get a chart with their individual parts on it, and all the parts together for the whole thing make the whole. And so like you have like horn section playing one line, da 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 da, and the other one's playing da 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 da. So you have this point counterpoint, but because the horns, like saxes and trombones and flutes, and they're in different keys. So you got E flat and B flat, sax horns, and then trombones, they're in the key of C, A440, C, the key of C, and so are flutes, but all these horns are in different keys, and they all have to be transposed by the composer, which is like an enormous job. I don't know how people do that. They're brilliant. And they put all these parts together, and then you got an orchestra.
Man, that sounds a little more structured than the jazz the jazz fusion. I've been watching documentaries. I love watching documentaries and history and stuff, and listening to a podcast about breaking it down, where you have 3 or 4 musicians that, even 5 or 10 musicians that just get together, play their own thing, and somehow in the middle, they're so good. Maybe it's the rhythm section that keeps them going, where you have a good drum beat and maybe a good bass line, and then everybody else is playing over it, whatever they want, and it comes together. Have you played that kind of? You said something about jazz fusion. Is that what that is?
Yeah, I've played, that kind of music before too. Now that's really fun. You got to have a good rhythm section. Always have to have that's rhythm section makes everything.
Okay.
But all those people, remember Miles Davis when he played at the Isle of Wight?
Yeah, everybody
The jazz,
talks about Miles
right?
Davis and John Coltrane.
And
Those are
so
the
they got like
greats,
like
the
these all these
standards.
like these best players all playing, and Miles walks around and he's getting everybody to play exactly what he wants them to hear, you know, and and then once he gets it, he walks to the next person, and then everybody gets in that groove, and then yeah, you're right, they all kind of do their own thing. That's what's so cool about jazz, you know, you're just creating stuff up on the fly, which is so much fun. That's what I love doing. That's the most fun thing to do, and yeah, I love that kind of stuff. So you're kind of listening, you know, like as a guitar player, I listen to the drummer, I'm listening to the bass player, I'm listening to horn players, I'm listening to anything that's going on, and and really that's what you got to do. You got to listen first and then play, and then so you can do point counterpoint with this person, or it's too much fun. You just got to listen and then tear it up.
Yeah, not being a musician, hardly at all. You know, I have a bunch of guitars and instruments in my house in the vicinity. I can almost reach out and touch some of them, but I don't play all that well. But I love, you know, the idea. You know, the difference between jazz and blues is exactly what you were saying. It's still a feeling. There's still a lot of soul to it. But in jazz, you're kind of playing your own thing. But in blues, what's the difference that do you think between the jazz and blues besides the audible noise of it? But what do you think the difference between the style of jazz and the style of blues, the feeling that you get from the two?
Well, I think that you know, really, blues is this. It's a type of folk music, and it's a little more simplistic structure-wise than jazz is. Jazz comes from blues. Um, Basically, you know, a real simple blues is 1-4-5. Obviously, there's you know more difficult structures than that, especially jazz blues. And then jazz has it's this is what I like about jazz. So like the stuff that I write, I write all my chord structures first. And I use there's movement, you know, so that you have like movement chords which have accidentals in them. So sharp 5, flat 5, sharp flat 13s, you know, whatever, nines. And when you have those types of movement chords where the next chord moves into the next chord into the next chord, then you can create really fun and innovative melody lines. I guess to make a long story short, I guess I would say that jazz is a little more challenging, but that's the fun of it is the key changes. Like for instance, I'll start a song out maybe in A minor or C major, but you know, A minor, and then halfway through the song it'll go into an A major, which would be an F sharp minor. So it has like a feel or a timbre to it when it starts out, and then it'll go to like more of a resolve kind of a thing, and then back and forth. You know, it's just fun to be able to do that because then your solos, it's not as boring to solo. There's so much more that you can do to jazz that you can with blues. I mean, not to take anything away from blues. I love blues. It's great, but it gets a little boring to play after a while unless you're playing like jazz blues.
Yeah, I love that you are talking about all these chords and progressions. I can tell you're very learned. You've studied your craft. You took the time to learn all the different. There's only 12 chords, right, on a guitar, but you put those pieces together in different ways. But you've learned how to put them down on paper. Chord progressions, A chords, B chords, C chords. It doesn't mean a lot. I know. I recognize that a lot of those are words, but I'm so impressed that you know the actual technology to talk to another musician. Sadly, I never became a musician. It's my own fault. I had music around me. I had the access to guitars. I could have gone to band rather than swimming. Because I love music so much, and I have such an appreciation of it. But I wish I could play it And you, man, Brian Douglas, you get to play it. You get to think about things, put it down on paper, and then put it out to the world. And this is something you've been doing for a long time. But really, only up to 10 years ago, you got really into it. What were you doing until then? Going back and forth?
Well, first of all, to what you were saying about, not playing, it's never too late to start playing. You could, if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Just for your own insides to make you feel better. Hey, man, play something. You can always learn how to play. And it sounds like to me, your true gift is doing what you do and what we're doing right now, because you are obviously very, very good at doing what you do. This is really wonderful having this discussion with you. So thank you so much for having me, and I'm really enjoying it. And you're really good at your job. So
I've been talking into microphones and promoting people for all of my adult life for longer than I've been living, not longer than I haven't done. I guess 86, I started on the radio. So talking into microphones and talking to people and getting to know the stories of people, man, that's my vibe. That's my jam. I dig that. I dig it a lot, man. And I dig picking your brain, Brian Douglas. But you got out of high school. You were in California, St. Louis Obispo. Is that Southern California? Or is that the middle of the state somewhere?
It's Central Coast. It's San Luis Obispo. So it's SAN, one word, LUIS, the next one, and then Obispo, IB. Anyway.
Oh, I'm terrible. I hablo español también, man. I'm half Cuban from Miami. I should have known that.
There you go. So you know what I'm talking about. All right. So anyway, I went to high school there.
Okay.
And my dad, you know how dads are. They always say, hey, man, you need to have a backup because this musician thing probably ain't going to work out. And so I've been in the restaurant business almost as long as I've been a musician.
Oh, cool. That'll get you a wife.
Right?
And he can cook, too.
So I started out as a dishwasher when I was 16, and I ended up running huge resorts as the exec chef.
Yeah.
But I always played music, and I tried to play as much as I possibly could because that's what I love to do. And as a matter of fact, that's where I met my wife. I met her at the Crooked Creek Saloon in Fraser, Colorado. And I was playing with the house band there. And I worked as a chef at a resort at Silver Creek Inn. And so anyway, I had the night off, and I was playing with the house band up there at the saloon. And I met her. And got her phone number, asked her out. 3 days later, we've been together ever since. She's originally from Issaquah. And
what's Issaquah?
So things kind of changed. The last place that I was working out in Colorado, they filed Chapter 11. They had some problems. And so I sent out resumes everywhere, and I didn't want to go back to California. So we ended up moving out here from basically Silver Creek or Fraser, Colorado. And I worked in restaurants the whole time here. My wife and we owned one for almost 16 years.
Wow.
I worked at a couple other before we started that. And then people used to ask me at my job, they said, if you didn't do this, what would you do? And I said, if I could, I would spend all my time writing, playing live, promoting, doing everything that I could possibly do to create, something. And so that's what I've been trying to do. It's daunting. I love doing it. It's a daunting task. The more daunting part is all the social media and all the business stuff. And that's where a lot of musicians have problems, is they've never been trained in business. And I was very fortunate to know a lot about that kind of stuff because of being in the restaurant business my whole entire life. So I got to utilize all that information in what I'm doing now. But man, all this stuff that you got to try to keep up on, as far as like the business aspect and the social media aspect of it, it's pretty daunting. But it's doable.
Oh man, we're of a similar generation. I'm class of '86 myself, and I remember, shoot, I was a dishwasher when I was 16. I think that's a great job for a 16-year-old boy, especially. Hey, I'm sexist, okay? I'm old man. I'm getting there, but I think for a young boy, yeah, send him out to be a dishwasher. Go mow some lawns, even earlier than that. Babysitting, maybe for the boys, mostly for the girls. Hey, I'm going to get a lot of letters. I'm going to get a lot of emails on this one. But no, a dishwasher, that shows that you have a work ethic, man. You worked up from that dishwasher job. My first job was Swenson's ice cream, and I was a dishwasher, and I moved up to Fountain, and then I was a server, and host, and I even at KFC, I was the dishwasher, I was a cook, and I was a manager. It was great, man. Or a shift leader, I guess, not really the manager, but still, you have a work ethic that you've been that you've been honing since you were a young lad, and it has afforded you the ability to get yourself a restaurant, excel in that business, and in turn not get too rolled over in the music business. Did you ever get approached for a record deal or any of that stuff growing up?
No, I was always good at doing what I did, but I wasn't good enough. I don't think at that point in time. I mean, it took me. I think I'm good enough now.
Yeah, but even playing with a house band, you were good enough to be one of those hired guns, because the house band is the backbone. Well, like the Green Onions and the bands that made all the records back in the '60s. There's been countless books and documentaries on these people. If you fall in with that group of musicians, those are the go-to guys. If you want to cut a record in this town, those are the guys. It sounds like you were in with those people in your area. Were you?
No, I wasn't. Man, like I said, I was good. Yeah. But those people are really good. You're talking about, what were they called? The Wrecking Crew or something like that?
Wrecking Crew, yes.
They, those people were... Man, they were it.
Yeah.
They were really, really good. And so I could do it now. Yeah. It wouldn't be a problem now. But I had to have the time to be able to learn all that stuff in order to make that happen. I could do that job now. Yeah. But I'm not in a position where I can do that job now where I live. I mean, you got to go move to LA or something like that. And, things are so different. You know how it is. Things are so different than what they were back then. Remember the Bugs Bunny cartoons? They used to have full orchestras, real orchestras that did the music for that, because they already had the orchestra at the studio.
Yeah, playing in the pit while you're at a theater, and this is before my time, but this is stuff I've learned. You're in a theater watching this silent cartoon, and then you have this full orchestra that it's down in the pit making all that music. That's fantastic. And that's a job for 30, 40 musicians. And that dwindled down as technology got better, and the record companies figured, oh, you know what? I could do this with 20 musicians. I could do this with 10 musicians. I could do this with 5. I could do this with one guy with a computer. It's like I can name that tune in one note, and I could turn that note all kinds of different sideways and make a whole record out of it. But you were saying you need to move to California. No, you don't. You could use this technology for under $1,000. You could have your own little recording studio, computer, a mixing board, some kind of a program to record yourself. And if somebody said, hey, I need some guitar licks on this record, could you put something together, and then send it to them, and then they could put it together wherever they live. Have you ever been approached for stuff like that?
You're absolutely right about that, and that's how I make my records now. I do it all at my house in my own little studio. I have been approached about laying down tracks, and man, when I get a bug up my butt and I need to get something done, nothing else matters. So I've actually turned stuff like that down because I'm working on a new album now called Time Will Tell. And it takes everything I have to do that and all the other stuff that I need to do as a musician, doing live work and all that kind of stuff. So I'm really, really busy. I don't get paid for all of it, but yeah, and then the people, they want you to do it, and it's like, oh, well, that's not exactly what I want, and then you got to redo it again and do it again, and I could have spent all that time working on my own material. Yeah. And like, for instance, I have a song. It's a theme song, and it's 4 songs in one song, and it's called The Antics of Mr. B.
How long is it?
So, about 5.5 minutes.
Okay.
And it's all about my little dog. So my dog, I call him Mr. B. His real name's Hunter, but his Mr. B, short for Mr. Buddy. Okay. And so basically it's a song of a bunch of stupid songs that I sing to him on our dog walk. So there's Up the Hill, Mr. Buddy, and the fun one is Piggy in My Pocket. Now that's that's a cool song because it reminds me of him, and he's got this little pink pig. It's a squeak toy, and I stick it in my pocket, and then I sing this stupid song. I've got a piggy in my pocket, got a piggy in my pocket, right? So he comes running out of the kitchen when I hit the 3 pickup notes, and then he jumps up and down trying to grab that pig out of my pocket, So anyway, I don't know where I'm going with this. I forgot totally what we were talking about.
Inspiration, man. I love that you've been inspired by your dog to make a song, 4 songs in one. That's fantastic, man. You never know who your muse is going to be. Your little Mr. B, his real name's Hunter, but you call him Mr. B. Yeah, that makes sense.
He's a riot. He's got a bunch of names. He's Mr. Snappy.
That'll confuse him. Snappy, yeah, B, Hunter. You. Yeah. So
anyway, I forget where we're going with this, but it's I know where I was going with it. Because it's a 5.5 minute long song, and when I do my recording, I don't like cutting and pasting. I hate that kind of stuff. I play everything all the way through.
Ooh.
From the beginning to the end, and it has to be perfect. And it took about 200 takes to do The Antics of Mr. B. It's done. I just got to do some mixing on it, make it sound better as far as that tone. But it took like 200 takes. And if I had to do that in a recording studio, I would never be able to afford to do that.
That is some old school recording right there. Nope, do it again. Wrong, do it again. Wrong, do it again. That's old school. Where you have, and I know that there was bands that would record together, and they would never do it where they would have separate, be in separate rooms. Maybe they would be separated by a panel or something like that. But some of those really raw and dirty, some of the classics that you listen to today, the Beatles, recording all in the same room. My goodness. And, you could tell by the sound quality, it's not as clean and refined as the music that you hear today, where it's all so sterile. You could tell that this was mixed down on somebody's computer. There's no warmth to it. There's no analog. There's no soul sometimes to some of the music. Did I just get older? Did I just do these kids today and we'll never know what good music is? How do you feel? Are you recording at home digitally, or do you have some analog? How are you recording your stuff?
Man, I go all digital. Mm-hmm. I agree with you with analog. Analog has, like the old Steely Dan records. Oh, man, those were the best. Those guys had the best studio sound ever, really, I think. But I run all digital, and I run through an interface into the computer. I don't know if I'm allowed to
Well, what's your
say.
setup? Go ahead. Give me your setup. Teach the
Well,
kids
I
how
use
to do it.
Cubase. Is that okay to say that on here?
Yeah, I think when I was at Guitar Center, and I'll say every brand name because I want people to learn. When I was at Guitar Center, I think I was buying a microphone. They said, "Hey, that comes with a free version of this Cubase," and I think that must have been the early mid '90s. And they said, "Here, try this out," and I tried it out, and it was a pretty good program. I'm sure it's gotten tons better. What can you do with Cubase?
Well, the music that I'm doing right now, it's just guitar. I mean, you could do anything with Cubase. Cubase is amazing software. I don't use half of the stuff that I could use, but basically I run directly into an interface. And the first album was really, really difficult because I had to learn how to become a recording engineer first. So I had to find a guitar tone. That took forever. I tried with an amp plugged in, with an amp not plugged in. I found like an amp simulator that they have in the program itself. It took me forever to find the right one for the right tone, and then the right cabinet. And then I had to learn how to like use an EQ properly. It was a huge task. My hat's off to recording engineers and engineers in general because they are amazing people and they do amazing work. And I had to learn, and I'm not a professional recording engineer. I'm getting better at it. So I had to go through that whole process and learning curve to figure out how to get the tone that you hear now on what you've heard. I think the tones on this album that I'm working on now will be better. And the groovy thing is I went through all the mixing and all that stuff, and I came out with the final product. And now doing the new CD, I can add a track, and then I right click and then add a preset. I got my preset. It's all there, and I don't have to do like 66% of the work that I had to do prior to this part of the project. So this is going to be a little easier. It took forever to find a good tone, man.
Well, that's what this technology is doing, is it's helping you to be an independent artist. You don't need so many people involved, and that gives you creative license too. Like you were saying, if you were trying to send a track to somebody else and they say, that's not quite it, send me another one. That's not quite it. Send me another one. That's not quite it. No, you have your own ear, your own idea of what sound you want. You could lay it down, play with the little mixing. Yeah, okay, digital, you can simulate analog with the digital. And some of that new stuff, man, it really does sound pretty good if you use it right. But if you use it wrong, I've heard the term, SoundCloud DJ or SoundCloud musician, where they're just putting stuff directly into their computers, not processing at all, and just putting it out there and saying, somebody give me $1 million, please, for this, half-finished product. It's just not there. You take the time.
It doesn't work like that, Well, musicians should be very tone sensitive, really. Any musician should be sensitive to what their tone is, and the tone has to be perfect. And so I've listened to recordings that I did when I first started learning how to do it. Mm-hmm. And then I listened to the recordings that I have now and what I'm working on now, and it's night and day. Mm-hmm. So like what you're talking about, I've done that. I haven't put it on the internet, but I've, gone through that process, and it sounds like cardboard, right? It's awful. And so, that's the thing. It just takes a long time to learn how to make it not sound like cardboard.
Yeah. You can't be tone deaf unless you're Beethoven in 1824 with the Ninth Ode to Joy, and he's conducting his own orchestra, and he can't hear a dang thing because he's deaf. And the actual conductor, this is a podcast I listened to recently on the 1824 when he did the Ninth, and Beethoven is there in his green jacket, and he's conducting, and the real conductor was sitting just behind him saying, don't pay attention to him. He can't hear anything. Just pay attention to me. After the ninth was done, everybody in the audience is screaming, clapping, yeah, yeah, and Beethoven is still waving his arms in the air, and the people in the audience go, wait a minute, he really is deaf. Oh, and the conductor turns him around, and Beethoven goes, look at that, they're all clapping for me, accolades, and he can't hear a thing. So yeah, there are exceptions to the rule, but I get it, man. You have to be tone sensitive. I've tried to record people. I've given people demos with the equipment that I have, the ability to, lay something down, maybe some vocals, maybe 4 or 5 tracks, mix them all together. But I don't have that ear that a recording engineer does. And my hat's off to you for teaching yourself how to do what you did, even on the stuff that's on your website. That's fantastic, man. It grooves.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate the kind words, and one can only hope that you continue on and you get better. I really like my first album, and I'm really going to like this next one I'm doing. I think through the process, it'll be a little bit better than the first one, because you learn, right? Mm-hmm. And you learn how to do this. You learn how to compose. Hopefully you just learn. So I'll get this one done and then do another one. And the hard part's going to be. And I just started thinking. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, well, the hard part's going to be is putting all this. I have it on paper. So I write all my chord charts out and everything, and I start writing melody lines over the chord charts, and you got to use a pencil because you got to erase all the time. And so I get to a point where I write like the beginning of a melody line in the middle of it, but it's not the complete melody line because things always change. But I just leave it there because it reminds me of what I need to do, and then I memorize everything. I don't read while I'm playing. I don't like doing that. I like to have it all memorized so that I can just play whatever I want. And I never play it exactly the same. And that's the deal is I get all this done. I have to figure out how to write it all. So I have some I have a program for writing charts. And I still haven't even started on that. That'll be another 40 billion hours to learn how to do that, and you got to do that so that you can publish your stuff. So it just seems like, dude, man, there's always something to learn.
Brian Douglas, that's a lot of jobs you're doing. If you were making a movie, you're the writer, you're the director, you're the star of the show. Man, you're doing so many. You're the grip. You're doing all these jobs to put this stuff together, and I commend you. You have to be commended. It used to be. All right, for me as a DJ, it used to be back in '86, I bring my 2 turntables, maybe a microphone. Most of the time, it was just the 2 turntables. I had an MC. I had a guy that was doing the lighting. I had people that were doing all that. Now, as time progresses, as technology progresses, I have to be the lighting guy. I have to be the microphone MC. I have to be the guy on the turntables. Now they're digital turntables where, I can control the music on little Pioneer mixing wheels, but and I have to be the social media guy as well. You were mentioning a little bit that you have to dabble in social media. I noticed that you have, in addition to your website, you have a pretty good presence on Facebook and Twitter, and I know Twitter was where we met up, but you have to be all these things to make it. Now, you're still doing the restaurant business, right? And this is affording you the time to do this at night, I guess?
No, man, I'm doing this full time. Oh. We got rid of our restaurant about eight years ago. So I've been doing this full time. I am spending about 6-7 hours a day doing something with music. I usually try to get in about 4.5 hours a day of practice time. And then the rest of it is, creating a social media presence or learning how to do this or reading on this. Or, it goes on and on and on. And like I said, it's like a daunting task. I don't know how people can get it all done, but you can't look at it like that. You just have to look at it like one little chunk at a time. I started out with my website, and then, I went through TuneCore, and then so I was able to get my stuff on Spotify and iTunes and Amazon and Deezer and it goes on and on and on. And so you got to do, and then the social media. So then you got to do the social media stuff. I don't spend a lot of time on social media except to hopefully say some positive stuff on there now and then, or, to try to promote or to listen to other people's music.
Yeah.
That's the thing about social media. People, they get on there and they think, oh, well, I'm just going to promote. But everybody's all trying to do. So I've found one of the best ways to help promote your own music is by listening to other people's music earnestly and, commenting on it. If it's good, let them know. Retweet it. Let them know that, they're appreciated, because we're all in the same boat trying to do this. We're all trying to get out there. And so even though it's easier, like what you were talking about, you don't have to go to record companies now. You could be an independent artist. There's so many independent artists, and we're all trying to do the same thing. It seems like this huge saturation of it. And I don't know, like on social media, I just kind of chance to listen to that or the other. And if I like it, I'll let people know about it. Just so hopefully they'll listen to your stuff as well.
Yeah, one of the jobs that I have as a disc jockey is to play new music, to expose people to different ideas, different thoughts. So the wedding that I'm doing on Saturday, they said, hey, for cocktails, play some jazz. Some BCD music is going to be in there. And whether hopefully somebody's going to say, hey, who is this? That's pretty cool, man. That's pretty nice. And they're going to go, I'm going to say, well, that's BCD music. That's Brian Douglas playing that. He does it all by himself and no record company, all by himself. That's something. That is amazing. And I'm glad that you said that about social media, where you share things and retweet. I Facebook share so much music. Every music that comes down the pike, I take a little listen, and I share it on my radio page. Oh, a little listen, and then I share it in my radio group. Same thing with the Twitter. My Radio What tweet is tweet after tweet after tweet after tweet, and a lot of resharing and retweeting. That's what we're supposed to be doing, is helping each other out. You've made it to this certain level, and you had the courage 8 years ago to get rid of your restaurant that may or may not have been doing good and gamble on yourself and go out and play music full time, be a starving artist. What did the wife say about that?
Well, my wife, she's a godsend. I mean, she works. She has a real job. She works at the bank, and she's got a good job, and she does a really good job. I'm like really, really proud of her. She's very amazing. I have a great wife, and she's really supportive. And she told me 8-9 years ago, hey, tear it up, do what you do. And so I'm able to make enough money to supplement what we're doing. And I'll keep doing that until I'm dead and gone. Hopefully, if I can physically do it and mentally do it, I'll play forever. And it's a kind of a job that you can do forever until you're dead, but no, she's a great wife, and she's cool with it, and she's very supportive, and I'm very grateful to her for doing that.
Man, and I'm glad you have somebody like that in your corner that will give you that. We'll see. What was it about the restaurant business that you said? Were you miserable? Was it something that you were splitting your time between the two worlds, and you said, "Man, I'm so much happier in that world. Can I get out of this world?" What made you stop restauranting?
Well, getting out of the world was scary.
Yeah.
What happened was basically we were trying to sell our place, and that's when the economy really went down. And here where I live, it's like people, they don't buy restaurants. They just wait for them to close down and then they pick up the space, right? So what happened is during the summertime, business was just so slow because of the economy. It took such a hit. And you have to make a certain amount of money in the summertime to help you get through the wintertime. And if you don't do that, forget about it, forget about it. And so just said, it's time. And we were ready to go do something else. And long story short, we do what we do now. But I'm glad, I'm so glad not to own a restaurant anymore. I worked in the restaurant business, since I was 16 until, 9 years ago. And it just wears on you after a while. I love people. Yeah. I really do. But I'm tired of waiting on them.
I mean, you mentioned that when you're at the beach, you like people watching, you got along with everybody as a kid, and it just grew from there. And being in the restaurant business, that's the hospitality business. You were working at a hotel too, right? Somewhat, right?
Oh, I worked at really fancy restaurants. Mm-hmm. 4-star restaurants. I worked at one place. I wasn't the chef there. I was the saucier, but we changed the whole menu every night.
Wow.
Yeah, we did. We specialized in wild game, all the fish in the ocean. We had the largest wine list between Los Angeles and San Francisco. It was a great place to work, but the restaurant business is really stressful.
Oh yeah, I heard the margin is tiny, 15% at the most. You're working on small margins, right?
Well, that and it's just like everything is, you got to have it done now. Now. You're going to get hit. Now. And then the masses come in. Man, I had dreams. After we got rid of our restaurant, I had dreams at least 4 or 5 years after the fact where we were closed and people just kept coming in. They came in and then they'd go over there and you close the doors again and put the close sign out and they'd keep coming in. And I'd wake up exhausted. It's just stressful.
Oh yeah. All those people at 9:59. Hey, can we still get service? We close at 10. That fryer has been down. That grill has been cleaned. What are you doing, man? Have some respect.
I've just run out of food before. I mean, what we did, we kind of changed our whole menu every night.
Oh.
Or every day when we owned our own little place. We had the standards. But we just it was like a giant special board every day. And so if you ran out of something, it was just crossed it off. And there was times where you'd be so busy all day long that you literally ran out of food.
Yeah, that's a nice place to be right there.
That's right. Yeah. But then they keep wanting to come in, and it's like, no, we're closed. They keep wanting to come in and it's like, no, man, I'm sorry. Oh, can I just get no, I'm sorry. Oh, no, please leave me alone. Go away.
Go away. Go away now. No, I get it, man.
Yeah, it get like that, and so I'm glad to be out of the restaurant business. The job I do now, when I'm playing live.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You're still doing gigs out.
It's zen. When I go play a live concert and I go do my job now compared to being in the restaurant business, mm-hmm. It's just zen. You're off in your zone. Nothing else exists anymore. And you're just playing. And the notes speak for themselves. And nothing bugs you, man.
So what's coming up with BCD Music? Is it all Brian Douglas at a restaurant or at a little club with a guitar, maybe a backing track, or is it bands? What's going on the horizon with the live playing?
Well, the way I play live, I'm able to. What I have on my album, I can do all on my own. And what I did is I have a one of those Jam Man loop pedals. Mm-hmm. I got like a larger size one, It's a nice pedal. And so what I do is I take my rhythms and I record them into that box.
Mm-hmm.
And I use a metronome. And so I'll put, like, to say if you have an A section, B section, C section, you put the A1, B2, C3, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can put in your intros, outros, whatever. So I play myself and record the sections into that box. And the way the box works is you can hit the up and down buttons and move seamlessly into the next section. So I can play to myself at any gig. I have my one guitar recorded in the box, and then I play the second guitar over that guitar. So basically, there's two guitars playing when I go play a live gig. But I don't have drums. I don't use bass. I don't use any of that stuff. It's all kind of like piano music written for guitar, so that I can play it on my own whenever I go play out. And yeah, I like playing wineries and things like that. I would like to get into doing, like colleges, libraries. I want to play gigs where people actually want to listen to what you're doing instead of just talking over the top of you.
Right, right. You don't want to be the background. You want to be the reason that people came. Your name's on the marquee. We came to see Brian Douglas. We came to see the BCD Music Project. Now you're talking about that pedal, man. Somebody who can really use that pedal is just amazing to me. That you can play in a company. I watched Reggie Watts. I guess he is the master of that pedal, where he can kind of beatbox into it. Click, and then he beatboxes over himself, and then he puts a little rhythm over the top, bing, 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 and he's by the end of 2 minutes or 3 minutes, he's got an entire orchestra playing, and it was all him, man. I could see
Yeah,
that.
that's right. But see, now that's a little different though, because what in that scenario, what's happening is you're building texture,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't necessarily have forward movement, right? So a song has to have vertical movement, and it has to have horizontal movement. And the horizontal movement is the chord structure and the structure of the song, and the other is the melody line that goes over the top. So what I'm able to do is I will take a section of a song. So like, let's say you have the first section and that plays twice through.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So then you have that section recorded in the box, and then the next section of the song, whatever it might be, that would be in the next section. And then the third section would be or might only have two sections. But you can go from section to section to section. So I can play the A section twice through, and then that's when the B section is supposed to come into the song. You click that button, and it just, you have to like make it work. You have to do it timing wise when you're recording into the box, but it'll just slide right into that next section, and it's just seamless. And then you go into the next section, and then you go wherever you want, but it's all seamless. It sounds like one real song. But you have to do the timing right. That's why I use the metronome.
I think you've explained it properly. Rather than building a cake with layers up like Reggie Watts does, you're actually making a journey. It's one long line, but it's different sections of the same song. You're not layering this cake one on top of each other. Yeah, okay, I get it. You're making actual songs, man, using this technology. It's just the way that you use it, man. And that's that's impressive too. That's impressive. How one man, I know there's been one man bands ever since there's been music. I guess the guy with the cymbal between his knees and stomping on the ground for the rhythm and playing some kind of a stringed instrument with a little harmonica in his mouth. One man band. With a drum on his back, doom, doom, doom.
Right.
And
Right.
you could do it all using this technology. That's fantastic, man. I appreciate that. Well, what kind of gigs are coming up on the horizon, and how do you want people to get a hold of you to get said gigs as we wind this thing down?
Well, at this point, because of the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready to go to work.
Oh, yeah.
So basically whatever comes along, I'm going to try to just continue working the process to get better and better gigs. I don't mind traveling out of town a little bit to go get them. It's kind of a local thing, right? It's kind of weird living in Port Townsend, man. You got to drive and drive and drive just to get to one place. You're out in the middle of nowhere. It's not. If you were in the city, you could work all the time. It'd be much easier. But then you'd live in the city.
But you say you're 40 minutes away from from the first thing is 40 minutes away?
Well, yeah, like it would be an hour to go to get to a larger area, Silverdale they call it, Bremerton, that area down there. It'd take about an hour to get there, or you'd go to Squim or Port Angeles, but it'd be better to go to the other side, Seattle, or you go over to like the metropolitan area of Silverdale. But anyway. So I also I do these, I play for older folks also in assisted living places, memory care places. I do that because they can't get out and they really love music and they pay you pretty well. I get paid pretty well for it. I don't do it just for the money. I do it because it's, kind of doing God's work to go visit people and let them know that they still matter to somebody. So I do those types of things.
Heck yeah. I used to love doing karaoke shows at the Southridge Village here at the ALS. That's fantastic, man. Some of these people were musicians in their former life, or they were singers in their former life, and you give them that memory. Oh, yeah.
Well, that's right. As a matter of fact, I went and played at one place. I ran into one of my old horn players. Him and his wife moved in. Hey, Brian. I'm like, hey, how are you? And so we talked for a while, and he played in the big band with me. But anyway, to get a hold of, to contact me for gigs, you would just go to www.bcdmusicproject.com. You go up to contact and just fill out a little form there. I'll get the email and I'll answer that email. And you can listen to my music on Spotify or my website. You can buy it on iTunes or Amazon. And I'm sure there's other places that you could acquire it from, but you can access all that from my website. You can type in BCD Music Project into Google and a whole bunch of stuff will come up. And you can find me there. So, please look me up.
Man, it's a pretty fun website too, man. I like that record, just spinning. Just a record spinning.
Old school.
Some of those kids are gonna go, Grandpa, what is that?
What is that? Yeah, it's old school, baby.
Yeah. All right, my man. Well, as we get out of this thing, any shout outs you want to give to the people that have helped you along the way? Anybody that's helped you to become who you are, and then we'll close this thing up.
I have a wonderful friend, Elaine Gardner Morales. As a matter of fact, we played in big bands together. We played in small bands together. We're still kind of in a band. We just got to revamp and figure out what we're doing. She's an amazing woman. Man, she's ran college. She's run college departments in Texas. She's a session musician. Wonderful teacher. I'm just really blessed to know her. So Elaine, just saying hi and thanks for being my friend. There's so many people out there. I really, that I can't even think about it at this point. But
no, I wouldn't want you to forget anybody because then they'd be real mad at you. But it's good to have an Elaine in your corner, man. It's nice that you have that one. And by the time we get to a certain age, really, if you have one friend that you can count on, that's pretty much all you need, okay? Because the
I would
circle
really
gets smaller.
like to thank you very, very much for having me on your show. I really appreciate you reaching out to me on Twitter.
Yeah.
And you just seem like a really wonderful person, and I really enjoyed talking with you, and thank you so very much.
Well, I don't want this to be the last time we talk. As projects happen, as things progress, and you have other things that you need to talk about or you want to promote, please, by all means, come on back. It doesn't have to be a full hour. It could be 30 minutes just talking about the new songs or the new record, what have you. That's my job. That's my job, is to promote people, and that's our jobs, is to help each other out. That's what we're doing on this crazy world as we fall through space. But
Well, I do appreciate it very much, and yeah, I mean, you know where I'm at. You got my number.
yeah.
You know where I'm at on Twitter, and you can find me on Facebook. You can get a hold of, you know how to get a hold of me. So yeah, please don't be a stranger, because it's just been really, I've really enjoyed talking with you.
Excellent. All right, Brian Douglas, BCD Music Project. I usually finish these things off with last words for the people. This could be words to live by, something you heard a long time ago, maybe a mantra that you wake up with every morning, or just whatever pops into your head at this moment in time. Brian Douglas, BCD Music Project, last words for the people.
You know, it's never too late to learn. It's never too late to do something that you really, really want to do in your life. Don't be afraid to do it. Just do it. Conquer it. Have a good time, and it helps enrich your spirit, whatever your talent may be.
Well, there you have it, party people. Brian Douglas, my man. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. A musician's musician. He's been through the gambit. He started from here and went to here, moved around to there, got to here. Life happens. I love a story like that. And all in the middle of it, jams in a love story, finds the perfect bride, the one that's going to back him up. Love it. That's what you need. Somebody in your corner that's going to encourage you all the way. Yeah, she goes off, she gets a good job, and she affords him the ability to keep this dream alive and keep this going. Yeah, the money's coming in. He makes a living. He's substantial. And yeah, that's what you could do when you work hard at anything. Anything. If you want it bad enough, hey, unless you just have no aptitude for it. If you want it bad enough, you could be anything you want. Work hard. Work hard. He got a work ethic from when he was a kid. Washing dishes when you're 16. That's what you should be doing. All these kids on their video game. Ooh, did I just get older again? All these kids on their video games. And here I am playing video games at 52 years old. But still, get a job. Get a job. You want those shoes? You want that cool sweater? You want to go out on a Friday night? Get a job. You 16-year-old? You get a job. You want a car? You want a motorcycle? Oh, don't get a motorcycle. That's just me. I had some problems with my motorcycle. But you want to get a car? Hey, at least pay for the insurance. Get a job. As long as it doesn't affect your schoolwork too much. That's the first thing. That's your first job. Get that schoolwork done. I should have stayed in school a whole lot longer, but that's a whole nother story. I'm so happy to have talked to Brian Douglas. I appreciate you. BCDmusicproject.com is the place you ought to go to find out more about Brian D. Oh, yeah. Thanks for being on the show, Brian, and I look forward to talking to you again. And now, if you... Yes, I'm turning my attention to you, would like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call, 501-470-6386, or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for this edition of What Makes You Famous. My name's Keys Dan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.